Are you actually in a calorie deficit? Ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Fit and Unfiltered podcast. I'm Nick. I'm glad to have you here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're going to get into all the good stuff today, so stay tuned. Ladies, if you've been here before, thank you for coming back to give it another listen. If you are one of the women inside of our June challenge, how are we feeling? We are at the official halfway mark. Today, I want to talk about something that I hear constantly, and it generally tends to be around this point in the year. You know, like we're nearing to summer, we're nearing to that big goal that we've been counting down to. And it's that common phrase, feeling of, I'm doing everything right, but I'm just not seeing the results that I expected. And honestly, like that usually means one of two things. Either something isn't really adding up on the diet side, or you are progressing. You are just hyper-focused on the things that you still don't like about yourself, and you just need to be a little bit more patient. So today, either way, by the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what to look into. But today we're going to get into what I think is a bit of a grey area for a lot of women, and that is the nutrition. And can I just say something first? Because if you've been eating well, right, you've been showing up for your workouts, you've been trying really hard, and the scale just isn't moving the way that you'd want it to, or it's moving, but then it's jumping back up, and you know, it's not going at any rapid speed, that is genuinely frustrating. Like, it's okay to feel that. I'm not here to invalidate how frustrating that can feel. But here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to spiral, because this is the quickest way to keep yourself on a hamster wheel. Is every time you get that feeling of frustration, you convince yourself, this isn't working for me. Body's broken. Or maybe I'm just different. Or maybe I need a different plan. Or maybe I need to be more harsh. Maybe I need to cut more calories, and we do something drastic which massively rebounds by the weekend. I don't want you to do any of that, because in my experience as a coach, which we are talking over 15 years, it's always something simpler than that, ladies. Like, we've got to be really rational when we think about fat loss. It's a pretty easy formula, and none of us are broken. Like, some women are working more efficiently than others. That comes through consistency. But fat loss as a whole, and I always say this to any woman inside of our community, is a pretty simple formula. Like, it's not hard for your body to do, but we overcomplicate the process. We chop and change too much. And so before you overhaul everything, don't jump ship just yet. Okay, let's get into it. The most common reason why I think women don't see results, it's not our lack of effort, ladies, is it? Like, we are doing our best. We are showing up. We're getting our steps. We're eating well. Give or take, we know that we're still not perfect. There's no such thing. But it's not through lack of effort. A lot of the time, it's that gap. It's the gap between what you think you're eating and what you are actually eating. And here's the other kicker. So much of what we do is on autopilot. So again, it's not even as though you're hoping to get away with it, or you're even consciously over-consuming. But tracking food is genuinely tricky, and there are some very sneaky ways that a deficit can disappear without you even noticing. So bear in mind, your calorie deficit is potentially going to be anything from around 300 to 500 calories a day. And so if you're trying to drop body fat right now, then that's the recommendation. You want to figure out your maintenance calories, and you want to reduce roughly 3 to 500, and then we've got to stay consistent. Not 3 to 500 Monday to Friday, 3 to 500 calorie deficit on a daily basis. Now, here are the 5 things that I want you to check. Like, just do a quick audit. Like, am I doing these things? Because if we're checking all of these boxes, ladies, you're going to see that body fat start to shift. And the more consistent you are, this is the hard but amazing part. The more consistent you are, the more momentum starts to build, the more efficient your body becomes at burning fast. And so through staying consistent for a period of time, you actually speed up your results. Okay, 5 things that I just want you to honestly look at. Number 1, are you actually tracking everything? So if you're having a coffee of a morning and you're putting oat milk in it, are we tracking it? A few bites of your kid's breakfast or dinner or whatever it might be, are you tracking it? Likelihood is no. If I finish a scoop of Penelope's Rice Krispies, or I'm eating like the last little bit of Isadora's pancakes after school or whatever, I'm not tracking it. So we've got to be honest about this. The handful of nuts while, you know, you're just prepping some food, the sauces and the oils, this is a big one. Adding in olive oil, putting butter on your toast, and all of these little things. Are you actually tracking everything? Now, there's a bit of nuance here because I work with a lot of women who very, very busy, demanding jobs, very busy lifestyles. We don't want to be tracking every morsel of food forever. Like, that's not a strategy. It's a short-term tool that we're going to use. So if you're not where you want to be, but you've got this resistance to using MyFitnessPal, I just want you to take on this frame of mind is that we don't have to scrutinise every mouthful of food forever, but we want to get the ball rolling. You want to drop body fat. We want to move from where you are now and get you in the driver's seat where you're like, okay, clothes are starting to fit a little bit looser, starting to get my confidence back, energy's feeling good, feel like I've got a better rein on things. If you're not currently in that position, use MyFitnessPal because it's going to give you a hell of a jump start. And honestly, like the likes of the oil and stuff like that, it's easy to think like, oh, it's just a dash here or the butter. If you've ever put that into MyFitnessPal, it can be, the oil can be more calories than the eggs. The butter can be more calories than the wrap filling or the sandwich filling. So it's worth just being really aware of what you're putting in because these calories, they add up fast, ladies. And if we're talking from butters, oils and little snacks off our kids' plates on a daily basis, that could be anything from 200 to 400 calories. There's your calorie deficit gone. So that 300 to 500 that we've just spoken about, that's the deficit gone. So you get to the end of the week and you don't feel like, I say in inverted commas, we don't feel like we've been that bad at all, but we've barely moved. But really all that you've done is keep yourself at maintenance because of all of these other little snacky bits. And if you're inside of our June challenge currently, or maybe you've been just listening through social media, one of the things that we're heavily trying to reduce is snacking. There's a couple of reasons why. Number one, and it's not primarily to drive down calories actually, but number one is just to reduce mindless eating because too many women just mindlessly grazing here and there. And if we've got no clear boundary around that, it's too easy to do. Like, it's just too easy to do and you don't realise that you're doing it half of the time. The other thing is if we talk about optimising health, optimising our results, then we've got to give our body enough opportunity to be in a restful state. So you've got rest and digest, and every time that you're eating, you're putting your body into a state of digest. Now the magic actually happens during the rest. Fat loss, bloat reduction, lowering inflammation, detoxification, muscle repair, cell renewal, all of the good stuff happens when the body's at rest. But a lot of the time, what I say is women are eating from minute we wake up till minute we go to bed, and it's only grazing and we're eating healthy stuff. So we convince ourselves like, well, it's not all bad, but we actually want to tap into this state of rest. If you are listening to this and you're thinking, what on earth is the June challenge? Go and check out Thriving Women, or feel free to drop me a message. It's absolutely not too late to come and join us. If you're listening to this on the day that it goes live, we're halfway through. It's the 15th of June. Like, we've still got another 15 days. And the most impactful thing is that if you do make a start now, it will set you up for the entire summer. It's not 15 days and then we're done. This is the launch pad. We're launching ourselves into the summer, ready to thrive. Okay, number 2, are your portion sizes accurate? Are you estimating? This used to get me all of the time, actually, and I think it gets everyone. It's like eyeballing portions, but research consistently shows that we are underestimating how much we eat, ladies. We've got to be. There's too many women walking around unhappy at their current weight in a mindset of like, but I'm doing all of the things and I'm trying my best. Well, something is clearly off. And I think this one is a biggie. Like, we're just underestimating what we're eating. So like the bowl of oats, again, not everybody wants to have a weighing scale, and we want to find people online who are going to tell us that's really over the top and it's so anal to be weighing your food. Well, we're going to find people who tell us that, aren't we? But the reality is, with the likes of like peanut butter, porridge oats, pasta, stuff like that, it's just worth weighing it and having an understanding of what 40 grams of oats actually looks like, because honestly, it's not as much. It's not as much as you might think. If I eyeball porridge oats, it is wildly different to when I measure. Same again with the little drizzle of honey, the little drizzle of olive oil. Like, I'm not saying you've got to obsess over every gram forever, but if your results are stalling, then spending a couple of weeks actually weighing your food is one of the fastest ways to just get an honest picture of what you're looking at. Number 3, are your weekend calories matching your weekday calories? So habits and behaviours are going to be different over weekends to some degree. Routines are going to be different. We know that. All of that aside, are your calories matching up? Because here's the kicker, there is nothing more frustrating than being so disciplined Monday to Friday, then Saturday, Sunday happens, you get back to Monday again and it's like, I don't know what's happened there. I don't know where I've dropped the ball. Like, I was relatively good over the weekend. Relatively good is not wholly accurate. Stay tuned. The next episode this week is going to be on navigating socials, managing our weekends, because it continues to just be such a sticking point for so many women. And I think it's largely because we do want to change our routine, our habits, behaviours. But when it comes to the diet, to the nutrition, to what we put into our bodies, we just need to stay mindful that if we want a different routine also with our meals, we still have to have a plan behind us. Because every time we get more relaxed around tracking at the weekend, we go for a meal out, we have a couple of drinks, and that's all good. I will absolutely be doing plenty of that this month, but we've got to figure out what that's costing us. So you may have heard before, you can look at your calories like a bank balance. And it is exactly that. Like, it's just figuring out, this is how much I've got to spend. This is how much I've got to do to create that balance, whether that is your steps, your general movement, your workouts. And then we just get really smart about it. Number 4, has your activity level stayed consistent? So just rolling on there from the last point. Again, you can be in that calorie deficit, but if your calorie deficit has been accounted for based on the assumption that you're going to be doing 10,000 steps a day, but then you're not doing 10,000 steps a day, then that's still not the same deficit that it was when it was set out. And don't forget, like, sometimes we forget that our calories, we need to shift them. Like, we need to be working through them. We need to keep our body moving as best that we can. So if you've been like more sedentary than usual, so less walking, sitting more, feeling a bit more stressed, bit more fatigued, then like your calorie expenditure, so like what your output is, drops. So even if your calorie income stays the same, if your outcome drops, then the balance is off. So again, results can stall. This has actually been such a breakthrough for some of the women that I work with, is just to move that little bit more. Like, honestly, there's so many women who genuinely, and you might be one of those women listening to this, who I speak to, who they're like, yeah, I'm going to the gym 4 times a week. I eat relatively good. I'm trying to eat protein. I've given up alcohol, or I drink very little at the weekend. And it's like, on paper, I am doing all of the things, but I still feel soft around my middle. I'm still not where I want to be in any of my summer clothes when I try them on. And I'm just feeling a little bit burnt out. I'm frustrated by it all. Well, this is another one that I would ask you to just check and stay consistent with, is your activity levels. Number 5, are you eating enough protein? Oh gosh, I had to include this one, ladies, because it is so underrated. So protein is, and I know that it's like such a bane for so many women, because it's like, how do I eat all of this protein? And I've never had to do this before. And it just, the comfort zone in our brain, I think, tries to negotiate, like, surely I can drop weight and not eat all of that protein. Well, first of all, as we get a little bit older, so let's say the 30 plus bracket, what our body actually needs changes to when we were in our 20s. So yes, the protein is going to keep us fuller for longer, which is going to stop us grazing and, again, mindless eating, or worse still, like binging by the time you get to the end of the day. But it's also got a thermogenic effect. So when you eat protein, it actually puts your body into fat burning mode, which is fantastic, and just a little side benefit. But more than anything, one of the most important things, one of the things that I'm really passionate about, is the importance of retaining muscle. Okay, the more muscle that you've got on your body, the more calories you're going to burn at rest. So let's say you go from you now, and in 6 months' time, we build a decent amount of lean muscle. Well, in those 6 months, the rate at which you drop body fat, the rate at which you burn fat, the amount of calories that you burn through on a daily basis is just going for your walk is going to change. It's going to increase, because muscle requires energy to stay active. Like, it requires the calories. So we want to preserve our muscle. We don't want it to be the first thing that goes. If your body's going to let go of weight, and again, weight in inverted commas, it's going to let go muscle first. I was explaining this to my husband the other day, because he's been working out and training really hard, and I'm always on him, like, eat post-workout, make sure you get your protein. I said, because you know what's going to happen? Your hard work is going to go to waste, because you're going to end up putting yourself into a deficit, but your body's not going to drop fat unless you structure it to work that way. So Left to its own devices, unless you are preserving your lean muscle mass by giving enough protein to your body will just let go of muscle. Like when it's time to get some extra fuel, it's just going to let go of muscle. Like if you want it to start burning body fat, you've got to protect that muscle. So the protein becomes really important for that, because this is also, again, ladies, like this is what gives us that lean, toned aesthetic that I think the majority of women are actually working towards. Like we think it's a weight, we think maybe we want to just look smaller, but a lot of the time you get to that smaller weight and you still feel soft. You know, you still don't feel like you thought that you would through all of this effort. So make the process easier for yourself. If you're in a deficit, regardless, make sure that you are eating enough protein. If you're going to go to the hard work of getting your workout, looking at your nutrition, let's make sure that we're getting it right. Because when you get to the other side, oh my gosh, you are going to feel the benefits. You're going to look incredible and your body is going to be working so much more efficiently. So I normally say like a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. If your ideal weight in your mind, say 140 pounds, then strive for 140 grams of protein. And if you're vegan, vegetarian, all of the things, like constantly women will be like, but I can't do it because I'm this and because I'm that. And okay, we've got two options. You either don't get to where you want to be, or we find a way to make it work, because there will be plenty of options out there. We just need to explore them. We just need to make sure that we are exploring all options and that you are willing to change your current patterns and routine to get to where you want to be. Okay, so if you've just gone through that little list, just gone through that audit very quickly and something's jumped out at you, amazing. Like this is the good news. This is not, oh gosh, I'm failing, I'm doing something wrong. This is like, oh, brilliant, light bulb, I haven't been tracking my oils, or light bulb, I actually haven't been as consistent with my steps when I think about it. Like I've had a few days where I've been right under. Okay, bingo, there's our answer. But as with everything, ladies, as with tracking our calories, tracking our data, looking at all this, I just want you to think about it as information. So we gather the information, now what are we going to do with it? And I often say this to clients who might be using my fitness pal, but they've got an all or nothing mentality. And I'll say, I want you to just view it. And if you're listening to this, I would, take this on also. Just view it as information. So if you go over your calories, it's not a fail. In my fitness pal, it's not a win or a fail. It's information, it's data. Now, if we can make the numbers match and stay within our data goals, perfect. But if we're consistently going over that, it's not necessarily instantly, I've failed, I might as well just eat the whole thing of biscuits. But we use that information to our advantage. Okay, I've gone over by a couple of hundred there today. I've been tracking, so I'm very aware that I've gone over. So tomorrow, I'm going to have to try and pull that back. So let me look at my day's food. What might I want to do different? And sometimes, like I'll go through food diaries with clients. And sometimes it might just be adjusting portion size. Again, like increasing the protein and reducing the carbohydrate size. Taking out a snack and replacing it with something different. But either way, like information is power. And we give it away. We give our power away too easily, ladies, to just being told what to do and the latest quick fix. But this is an invitation to get into the driver's seat. So don't forget, we've got those 5 things to check. Are you actually tracking everything? Are your portion sizes accurate? Are you estimating accurately? Or should you be estimating if you're not where you want to be? Are your weekend calories matching your weekday? Has your activity level stayed consistent? And then are you eating enough protein? And then out of that list, if you're thinking, oh gosh, I feel like that's a bit of everything, just pick one. Just pick one to tighten up this week. Not all 5, just one. Again, we don't do overwhelm. We are thriving women. We do not need any additional overwhelm. We need to get good at nailing the basics. So we're just going to choose one. Sustainable progress, ladies, is built on small adjustments. Not like we don't want to overhaul every time we hit a roadblock. And if you went through that list and you're thinking, you know what, Nick, I am actually doing all of those things, and I'm pretty confident that I'm doing all of those things well, then the answer is probably just time. Like your body is adapting. Sometimes, like it is frustrating because progress happens at different speeds for different women, and that can be dependent on where you are hormonally, genetically, again, like lifestyle, even previous history. Like if I have a client who's always yo-yo dieted versus a client who's been pretty consistent but just wants to tighten up, they're both in a different starting position. And the rate of progress, like honestly, a lot of the time looks very different. So this again comes back to how important it is to stay in your own lane. Okay, before I go, this was a very short and sweet podcast, ladies. Thank you for listening. But I do want to say to anybody who's been like hovering on the edges of the June challenge, looking at the Time to Thrive group coaching and wondering like, oh, I don't know whether I should do it. Like, we all have a voice of self-doubt. Some of us, that voice is more dominant than others. But the moment that you doubt whether it's for you, whether you should take action, whether you should just keep trying to go it alone, we tell ourselves like, I know what I should be doing, I just need to do it. Honestly, it's not too late. Like, we're not done. We're only halfway through. There's still time to join. There's still time to see movement. There's still time to see a difference by the end of this month into July, right throughout the summer. The most important thing that you will ever get out of any good program is support, accountability and structure. Like, I promise you that. Every woman, and I've been there, feels that what we need is the perfect diet plan and the perfect training program. That's what we feel we need. And we don't realise that what we actually need is support, structure, clarity, overwhelm removed, and accountability. Like, sometimes we just need a team of women around us to remind us like, we can do this. Or, when you have a bad day and it's like, okay, instantly I feel supported by the women around me, realise that I'm not on my own, realise that there's an option B and it doesn't have to be all or nothing. So if you want in, reach out, send me a DM. You can message me here, you can message me on Instagram. Let me know that you heard this episode and let's get you started. Jump straight in. If you are already in the challenge, ladies, we're at the halfway point. This is where we reach that point. When I always talk about inside of our group and I say you've got to show up when no one's clapping, you've got to show up when no one's watching. This is that week where we knuckle down. You'll know from our check-ins, we will have reflected on the first 2 weeks. We're clear on what's working. We're clear on what we're still struggling with. We're clear on what we might want to adjust. But keep going. Keep going. Keep showing up. Let's have a solid week, ladies. And I'll see you all on the next episode of the podcast.